reading of this Board of Education to roll, please. And we'll begin with the flag salute. You would all please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Lyncher, would you do the roll call, please?
Mrs. Elder. Here. Mr. Howard.
Here.
Mrs. Cosar. Present. Dr. Loughlin. Here. Mrs. Thames.
Here.
Dr. Conklin.
Here. Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
And Dr. Wood.
Thank you, Mrs. Leisure. It is time now for Hearing of Visitors Part 1. This gives any member of the audience a chance to address the board on anything that's on tonight's agenda that we will be voting on this evening. If you wish to speak to the board, would you please rise, come to the podium, state your name and address, and please note that you will be limited to 5 minutes. So if anyone would like to address the board at this time, please come to the podium and tell us about yourself.
Greg Fumey, Ridgeview Drive in Latrobe. I have a couple questions on the $10 million grant we're going to float. You said it was for academics, arts, athletes, and system upgrades. Do we have a breakdown of how much money will be going to each one of those? How the money will be split up amongst the athletics and the everything?
I can address it. I think we'll address any questions after you sit down, so you can just continue to speak and then we'll answer all your questions.
Okay. Because I'm confused. We can't raise taxes to build a sports facility, but we can borrow money and use the tax money to pay the loan back. Just because interest rates are low, that's no reason to go out and start blowing millions of dollars. And the fields we're going to build, how often will we have to change the turf? At what price will that be? Is this going to be a money pit like a swimming pool where it's constant upkeep? And the thing that upsets me the most is last year we cut 10 or 11 teachers and other positions, driver's education, make the students pay to park. Now we're going to build a sports facility. Till we put classes back and everybody uses driver's education, every single student drives. It saves the parents on insurance. That's something that needs back long before we have a football and a baseball field. I think we're losing sight. It disappoints me. We have a great school district, but I think we're losing sight of the big picture. And the first thing should be educating the kids. And until we put back what we took off, I think this sports facility it's going to go bust because of the money we're going to spend on the upkeep. Because I've heard anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million every 7 to 10 years to change the 2 fields. That's a lot of upkeep, if that's true. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to address the board this evening?
My name is Vince Pimpinella. I currently reside at Forest Glen Drive in Timber Crest in Unity Township. I'm also the owner of 167 acres of township land on Bethel Church Road that were developed in 2003 for sports facilities, and I've lived here for 21 years. I just thought I'd just touch on a couple of points for everyone to consider. And there's 3 of them that I'd like to touch on, but there are far more that would be pertinent to this project that you're talking about with the sports investment in this community. The first thing I'd like to talk about is my connection to sports. Secondly, discuss the artificial turf technology. Thirdly, the economic benefits that could possibly be reaped by this whole community and everyone in this room, should you decide to go in this direction. So currently I'm the head coach for the girls soccer program in the school district, and I have been here for the past 6 years, interacting with administrators, parents, visiting coaches, visiting players, supporters, and I find it's always a good benchmark to compare ourselves to other districts. And comparing ourselves to smaller districts, public school districts, equivalent districts, as well as larger districts. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel for my professional business and be able to actually see how other parts of the country are handling education and their connection to sports, recreation, and extracurricular activities. I'm not originally from here, so I have a different point of view. I came from upstate New York. It was totally different. We had gym 3 times a week, extracurricular activities, intramurals. It was an unbelievable experience for me as a child. So it's a little bit different here for when my kids went through and I don't have kids in the school district anymore. They're graduated and in college. But from an outdoor sports standpoint, for an example, for soccer or field hockey or lacrosse, cross country, or even football, our district really doesn't offer the training environments and the game environments which really match the standards of many smaller public schools, equivalent sized schools, and obviously some of the larger schools. And I absolutely believe there's good intentions by everyone to try to do our best with the resources we have. But unfortunately, our facilities, our outdoor facilities, are not ideally designed for the type of weather that you normally get in Western Pennsylvania. Okay, there's a lot of things you need to do ahead of time to be able to deal with what we get in the fall and in the spring. So what we find is, and I've got firsthand experience with this, is because of the fact that we have these facilities that we have inherited or have grown to accept, there are definite safety issues for our kids. And each year, our school sports programs have had to deal with season-ending and possibly athletic-ending injuries for players. Every season, for the past 6 seasons, I've had players that have been finished with sports, finished with soccer, finished with any other sport or any activity because of ACL injuries or third-degree ankle sprains or other joint injuries that were neurological in matter. So this project will allow us significantly to improve on that situation. One of the components of this project, as I've been learned and understood, is the installation of an artificial surface. Well, today's best available technology, some people have also referred to it generically as field turf. There are others, but that is kind of the best available technology. I'm very familiar with that because I have reviewed that in my own personal situation with building soccer fields. I've stayed current with it. The other reason I'm pretty familiar with it is because every team we play against is currently playing on artificial surfaces.
Mr. Pimpinella, your time is up. Would you do a concluding statement, please?
Okay. The last thing I wanted to mention is that it is a definite need in this community to meet the same standards that we have with parallel school districts. And I didn't get to it, but there are also economic benefits that you may not have thought about concerning what you could possibly bring to the community with participation in the evening, with more spectators being here, with the ability to charge admission, which other school districts do, to sporting events, and also for playoff events. We're not even considered to host playoff events because we don't have the facilities to do that, and there are significant opportunities there.
Okay, I have to cut you off. I'm very sorry, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Would anyone else care to address the commission's board this evening?
Good evening. My name is Neil Lejean, and I live 114 Magnolia Drive here in Unity Township, 10-year resident of Unity Township, and I have 2 students in the school. I'm also the current president of the Band Boosters, although I'm not here just speaking as in representative of the band. Many of you board members I know personally, and I have taken you to task once or twice or more times saying that I require you to provide a good education for my children, safety for my children, and a good bang for my educational dollar and my tax dollar. And speaking as a taxpayer and as a parent of children in the school, I support this bond initiative. I've had the benefit of seeing the blueprints, seeing the plan. I believe that this is something that can be beneficial to all students. Some of the comments that the previous gentleman made concerning being able to host playoffs and things like that. As working with the marching band, we've hosted festivals in the school and been very successful with it. And I'm very proud of our school. I'm not a Latrobe graduate, but I'm so proud of it I may as well be. The facilities are fantastic. Kids come in and they see the artwork on our high school walls, and they see our facilities in our junior high school and our senior high school and our auditorium, and they go, wow. That level of pride ends at the athletic facilities that we have outside of this school. I have friends whose children play tennis, and it's an embarrassment to them when we have matches here for tennis and they can't run all 5 matches like they do at other schools which have 5 and 6 courts. I have had one of my band members this summer tell me how embarrassing it was when they had to call a lacrosse game because they lost the ball. The field was so muddy and swamped that they lost the ball in the field. And I see students who are engaged in those things, staying engaged in school. For my son, the hook was band, right? I could say to him, your grades had better be good, or you're not doing band, and he did it. Now, other kids' hooks are lacrosse, tennis, field hockey, baseball, football, cross country. Their parents are doing the same thing. We have to have the facilities to deal with that. And then, as mentioned, you have to have the safety part of it as well. Soggy fields, you can't play soccer on. You're gonna hurt kids. Same with any of these outdoor sports. The other benefit I had that maybe not everybody in this room did was the estimates of what we're going to get in the way of revenue and cost savings for these type of things. Looks to me like the program will almost pay for itself. I think this is a good bang for the educational dollar and my tax dollar. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lejeune. Would anyone else care to address the board this evening?
Petrosky. I live on 115 Skyview Drive. I've been a lifelong resident of Latrobe. I grew up here, graduate of Latrobe, and I love Latrobe School District. My kids go here, and looking at the facility at hand and in question, I guess, I believe that this is one of the tools that we as a community need to finish. We have this beautiful center to attract students of the arts. We have other facilities, great technology. We need this for our athletes. Both my kids are athletes, very young athletes, and I'm very concerned on a rainy game day that their season is over every single time. Their gift is athletics, and I'm asking this board to please consider that even though they are students, their gifts are their athletics, and with this facility, it will definitely give them the advantage to compete. My daughter was a freshman this year and was on the soccer team and going to away games, as Coach mentioned earlier. It took our girls at least 5 to 7 minutes when the game started to get in the flow of the game because of the different surfaces. We practice on grass, and sometimes it's not mowed, and they have to kick it twice as hard, but when you go on turf, it's like kicking it on a cement surface. There's a lot of factors involved, and I would hope that this board takes that into consideration when we're opening this up for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else care to address the board this evening?
Hi, my name is Mary Maxwell. I live at 1111 Laurelview Drive in Latrobe. And I would like to take this opportunity to touch on a couple points. I did attend the meeting last Tuesday. I was in the one thing that struck me as a mom, I do have a daughter who's a junior here. My other two students have graduated already, 05 and 10. They did participate in athletics. They were in the academics. One thing though, as a mom, I'm always concerned about is what Dr. Soltis said about the drugs and alcohol in the schools. And Dr. Zorch, I believe you said, what can we do as more to make sure and ensure that our kids are safe, and we as a parents, board, teachers, and administrators are there for the kids. I think if you look at the idea of a full, complete campus that we have here, you would also ensure some of those rights because of the fact you would have everything here. As a feasibility of safety for the kids, all in one area. Right now, I'm also a field hockey mom. We now transport our kids up to Mr. Campanella's fields up on the hill. We have a safety issue because there is no transportation for the kids. We as boosters provide for them what we can. The kids, the girls, have been carpooling. State laws just passed, no more than one rider in the car if you're 16. So that has just squashed a lot of our ability. We have freshmen that we're trying to bring into the group and to play. They can't get up there unless we have the parents carpool, practices after school. Games are at 4 because there's no lights. So we are really inclined there with that factor. If you have all of the kids here, I know from my son playing volleyball, after practices of other teams, we saw people coming to volleyball games because the kids were already here and they wanted to stay and see their friends. You will have that ability as well. Also, in another matter, trainers, I know are a real fun here. We have 2, I believe, employed. I don't know how they make what they do and get to all the games that they can. And we, at practices, do not have a trainer available. If something would happen to our kids, they're up on the mountain. I couldn't even get AAA to find me up there when my tire went down, so I don't know how an ambulance or whomever is going to find the kids should they get hurt. Again, everything here, accessibility. I think, as Mr. Campanella touched on the fact, you have games, you have things that are at 7 o'clock at night versus our games are at 4 o'clock. We have no parents from other school districts coming in. It doesn't behoove us in any way to even do a concession stand. There's no one there. If you have something at 7 o'clock at night, you have parents coming in from other schools that have come from work. They're going to not only go to restaurants here, they're going to go, purchase their gas, do whatever while they're here in this area before they go back home. Another issue is the transportation costs. I don't know what they are exactly, misdemeanors, but I'm sure there's a lot of cost involved. Shuttling soccer players, baseball players, football players down to Legion Chemo Field. And that would be another thing that would be eliminated. I understand, sure, there's more costs involved as far as your maintenance. You're gonna have someone that's gonna have to take care of crews. But I would think as a board, you have looked at all of these type of things that I'm mentioning. Also, another thing, I have 2 kids that graduated. I was fortunate, both of them were able to be up on the stage, but not all of our kids can be on the stage because we don't have enough room. All of the other school districts around, I know weather is a factor, but it would be so awesome to me if my last child graduating next year, her grandparents could see her graduate because of the fact if it would be outside, any number of people can attend, not just 2 tickets that they come home with. That was very shocking to me. I am not from here. My husband and I have been here 16 years. Love it. As Mr. Lejeune said, we consider this our home now. I hope our kids will want to be here or come back here after their education and be a part of this community as we've become. On a personal note, I just want to take an opportunity and say thank you for all of you do as board members. I called my dad on Sunday. I won't cry because he's turned 83 years old. My father was a board director for 25 years. I'm from northern Pennsylvania. Of those, half of those, he was president. And it's one of those things when you're a kid you don't appreciate at all. My dad was out again. I didn't know why. I mean, all I knew, and people were calling the house, and he was, fielding phone calls and things like that. But as a whole, the 16 years that I have been here, 8 of which I was at Mountain View Elementary School, involved in the PTO. You saw me here then, some of you. It's been a great time here, and appreciate your time that you do. Wish I had a crystal ball. Sure you do. But all you can do is the best that you're doing right now. You've been going to build for 15 years that I've been here. I think it's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Last call, anyone to address the board this evening? Seeing none, I'll ask Mrs. Swigert and or Mr. Watson to address any of the concerns or questions that they heard this evening.
I think the first question was regarding the amounts of money. The resolution clearly states 4 prongs to the use of the bond issuance money. They include academics, arts, as well as the athletics. There is no question that when you review what each of those is composed of, that the athletic piece is the most expensive and drives that piece. But clearly there is a piece for the academics, which is an initiative to make every classroom within the Greater Latrobe School District a global classroom, which is inclusive of various pieces of technology, which we can go into more detail. And the third piece is the arts. As you're probably aware, or maybe not aware, there is a high school art collection, and there is actually elementary art collections as well. The initiative is not to expand or to add that to the junior high, but really to take some opportunity space, which is the connecting hallway between the junior and senior high, and the long 16-foot wide hallway that goes down to that area at the junior high, and promote the arts curriculum through developing some infrastructure, interactive abilities to integrate the art curriculum into various components. So those are those 3. There is a 4th prong, which is other identified capital projects, building projects. Last week we heard a presentation from Link, which is presently in the school district reviewing our facilities and will be coming back to us with a list of opportunities the district might have to save on energy costs, which then allows the district to do other areas of investment as the board identifies. And at this point, the board does not have that list. We are actually in the process of approving an RFP to go out for those services. At this point, that has not cost the district anything. And we've been working with them for several months, actually, with engineers in the district. So as far as actual specific dollar amounts, I recognize that everybody would
you very much, and thank you to all who spoke. We move to the solicitor's report. Mr. Naples?
No report.
Thank you very much. Legislative report, Dr. Laughlin.
Yes, before this meeting, we met with Senator Tim Ward, Representative Tim Rager, and Representative Mike Reese, where we discussed the governor's budget and funding, including the quality of cyber school. They asked for our opinion on the different legislative bills that were coming up, and they got to hear a very strong opinion on what we think of what goes on in Harrisburg. So all in all, it was a good meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Laughlin. I'm very sorry, I missed the approval of minutes, so I will move for the adoption of resolution number 155 to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held January 17th and the committee of the whole meeting held February 14th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor then of approving the minutes of those two meetings say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. Those pass unanimously. We're very pleased this evening to welcome Mr. Steve Higgins to our board meeting. Would you like to introduce?
Sure, I can introduce Steve. Steve is here this evening. The board, all of the board members have met Steve, and he's been part of the district since last spring. The district moved on a feasibility study last spring regarding the development of an annual campaign as well as a capital campaign. Steve is here this evening to give the board and the public an update, as well as to introduce our steering committee chairperson this evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Judy, for the introduction. Thank you all for being here this evening for this very exciting and important meeting. As Judy mentioned last spring, I was part of a team that conducted a planning study to assess whether or not philanthropy would fly here with the Greater Latrobe School District. Philanthropy in two aspects. One, we were testing a case for support to conduct and embark on a major capital campaign to address the four major projects that we're talking about today: the athletic piece, the arts piece, the academics piece, and then ongoing needs for facilities and other costs and other exciting projects that may come around. At the time, the primary project was the athletic complex. We have since added the academics piece and the arts piece. A few things, a few major outcomes, two major outcomes. One, without question, in speaking with 35 to 40 individuals through a formal interview process, plus having 15 to 20 informal conversations with other key community leaders, it was nearly unanimous that this project is something that the district needs to embark on. I'm primarily referring to the athletic complex. Secondly, another major outcome was that the district should be commended for looking at embarking on a program, a fundraising program, and continuing to make philanthropy part of the culture for as far into the future as imaginable. So two major outcomes: embark on a major capital campaign to support this project. The second major recommendation that we made at the time was to establish a foundation to really allow the district to have a fundraising organization, to build fundraising capacity so that the district would have the ability to raise funds for capital projects like this one, but to also establish, as Judy just mentioned, an ongoing annual giving program, an alumni relations program, and to basically provide opportunities for people in this community and alums from Greater Latrobe School District to get re-engaged and to invest in this wonderful district. So those are the two major outcomes. Today I'm happy to report that we are in the process of finalizing the paperwork to have the Greater Latrobe Partners in Education Foundation established, and that is the foundation that will provide the capacity for the district to be able to secure funds both for this campaign and well beyond this campaign. Secondly, this campaign is off and running. It's alive and well. And I'm excited to report, I can't go into the specifics at this time because there's a lot of sensitivity related to conversations going on with major donors, but I'll just say this. We have several sizable gift commitments. Transformational gifts both for this district as well as transformational gifts that are being made by these individuals, transformational for them. people who are viewing this district as their top philanthropic priority, and they are supporting that with significant gifts. I am also proud of the group that's seated here today. I'm happy to report that we have 100% board support for this campaign. Every school board member has made a personal commitment, gift commitment to this campaign. Thirdly, I'd like to also commend the administration of the school district here at Greater Latrobe. The 19, I guess the term is senior administrators of Greater Latrobe School District have each made a financial commitment to this campaign. Leadership, more than any other element, determines the success of any campaign. Whether it be capital, whether it be annual, it all comes down to leadership. And the example that the leadership has set with this school board and with the administration is giving us a significant amount of momentum. And we are continuing to have conversations with individuals who have significant net worth and the ability to support this bond issuance, if it passes, by making some significant philanthropic gifts that not only allow this capital project to become a reality and to strengthen and advance this wonderful district, but to also allow the foundation to begin to build an endowment, which in turn can provide operating dollars that can support a number of different initiatives within the district. The objective is have this new foundation build a sustainable and scalable fundraising program so that you are able to maintain and even strengthen this world-class school district well into the future. So I'm happy to report on the leadership that we have established. It is outstanding, and people here in this room have made this happen. In terms of leadership, I want to mention too, we are in the early stages of this campaign. With the exception of school board members and senior administrators, only a few select top prospects have been solicited. And the people who are really leading this effort are our steering committee members. We have established a campaign steering committee that meets on a regular basis. I'd like to introduce and recognize two individuals who are here this evening representing our steering committee. Lester Sutton, seated right here behind me. And I'd also like to introduce Ray Mountjoy, who is also seated behind me. In addition to being part of our steering committee, I'm pleased and thrilled to announce that Ray Mountjoy, class of 1963, by the way, he lives in Houston, Texas, has decided to come back and immerse himself in this project and has graciously accepted the position of campaign chair for the campaign for this project. And so with that, I would like to introduce Ray Mountjoy, class of 1963, and campaign chair, to make a few remarks. Ray.
Good evening. I'd like to say hi and thanks to the board. It's an honor and a pleasure and a distinct advantage that I have coming back to Latrobe, in that I grew up here, I was born here, I was educated here, and I love it here. And no matter how far you get from Latrobe, it's always in your heart. And my wife and I have been coming back here for class reunions and visits for the last 20, 25 years, and finally last year she went off the beaten path and drove into Palmer Place and drove up to a model, and next thing I knew, we owned a home here. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. At any rate, I'm glad she did it. She had parameters. I didn't have parameters. I just said, Latrobe, I want to be able to see the mountains, and that was it. So I come here as a Texan, and I come here as a Latrobian. And over the last few years, I've gotten heavily involved with the Art Trust, my wife and I both, and we started the Art Trust program in replica at our son's high school in the Woodlands, Texas. Tyler's 18, he's a senior this year. We started it last year. We had our first art show last year. It was very successful. Judy, Barbara Nagels, and some other members, Jessica Golden, came down and actually witnessed our first art show. And I think they enjoyed themselves, and we enjoyed having them. It took them a while to get used to everything's bigger in Texas. Except Judy, she's tall enough, she fit right in. At any rate, we had a great time, and I have to get on a plane tomorrow morning and head back to the Woodlands, which is 25 miles north of downtown Houston. It's a town I moved to in 1978, and I like it because it had a hometown feel, much like Latrobe. I didn't go far from home. When I moved there in 1978, the population was 3,500 people, and it was in its infancy. And it was a planned community, which I found very unique. It had a lot of trees, which the rest of Houston didn't have. So it was a natural for me. That community is now 125,000 people. We have 3 high schools, and it's a very booming area because it is a planned community, and they had, unlike other communities, they had the advantage of buying 28,000 acres and building it correctly. And it was planned where the churches are going to be, where the schools are going to be, where 250 miles of bike paths are, where lakes are, ponds, everything is. It's really a very nice community. But as I've aged, I keep getting the yearn to come back here and visit my friends and visit Latrobe, because again, it's at my heart. I think getting into this program is very similar to what I just completed. My wife Pam and I just completed 2 years of being the president of the Woodlands High School football booster program. The Woodlands High School is 4,300 students. Our booster program is 900 families. And we've had to nurture and nurse staff for the last 2 years. And it's been a great time for us to have our son going through the program, and culminated this year with our football team making it to the quarterfinals in Texas in the 5A category, which is the largest you can get into. So we had a great 2-year run. So she said, well, now that we're done with that, what are we going to do? Well, when I go home, I'm going to tell her. This is going to be a real shock to her system, but she kind of knows I like to shock her. At any rate, we're going to jump into this head first. I'll give you a couple parallels on why this is important and why this is such an intricate thing for Latrobe. And I think the best way to describe it is we've had 4 people get up here and tell you why and what. They've gone through the system, they're involved in the system, and they're telling you why. And you know, there's safety, there's maintenance, there's this, there's weather, and all the advantages. And keeping up with the Joneses. I think we've fallen behind the Joneses. At any rate, I think this will be a great campaign. We're really excited about it. We've got a lot of people involved. We've got really good people steering us in the right direction. Lester, Steve, and a lot of other people. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to give it my all. I'm not going to be here 100% of the time. I'm not moving here. We've got a second home here. My other 3 kids wouldn't like if they heard that. Of course, maybe they would. At any rate, I run my own business, and I'm working my way out of it slowly but surely. And Pam and I are real thrilled to be back in Latrobe. She actually enjoys being here, I think, more than me. She's actually made more trips here to our house than I have, which makes me feel good that we made the right decision. The Woodlands is a very competitive high school. And I think what we're talking about here is competence. Because the kids in these formative years have to learn to be competitive. Why do they have to learn to be competitive? Because guess what? As soon as you step out the door and your 4 years is up, boom, you're going to get upside the head. The world's competitive. And there's no more, well, here, I'll fudge that a little bit. You're okay, you passed. Or you made it, and it's okay. Don't worry, it's a day late. We still, you know, everybody knows that. In the outside world, that's not the case. So competition within the school is great. In Texas, we have the university interscholastically is much like the WPIL that governs all the sports in the state. And they have a cup every year sponsored by Dodge, Ford, some large commercial entity. And it takes into compass the choral groups, the band, the sports programs, and academic, debate teams, etc. If you get into these competitions, your high schools win points. And the points are cumulative, added up at the end of the year. all the high schools in Texas are competing for this cup. The Woodlands has won it 5 out of the last 6 years. To do that, you have to have good facilities so that the kids can compete. If the kids compete on the fields, they compete in the classroom. They compete in band. We have 300 people in the band. They have to compete. We have a drill team that's 200 girls. They have to compete every week to dance that week. It's a very competitive society that the Woodlands High School is. But that's the way society is, isn't it? We compete against each other every day as best we can in the different areas around. So I think by taking Latrobe up to the athletic level of the arts and the academics, now we have an even playing field. These kids, all the interaction is going to go back and forth, and they're going to really feel they're a part of something really big. When the kids go to the Woodlands High School, they feel that way, and they know when they step foot into school, it's put on your helmet, it's game time. And that's in classrooms, outdoor activities, indoor activities, anything they're doing. My neighbor writes a magazine for all of Houston about just high school sports. And he made a funny comment to me one day. He says, you know, if the Woodlands announced they were going to have a domino team, there'd be 200 kids lined up outside the on it, there'd be 400 parents behind them pushing. And I think that's just, you have to develop that mentality that you want the kids to succeed. And if they're given the right tools, they will succeed. I'm here to tell you that I'm going to try to do my very, very best. My wife's behind me, even though she doesn't know she is. I'm really not kidding about this. We're going to do our best to help Judy, to help the board, to help everybody involved in this project to raise the money that's necessary, because it's not a luxury and it's not a choice. It's a necessity. It really is. And if you look at the rest of the school and what we have going, people come here, and the wow factor is great. We want the wow factor to be outside and inside. And with that, I'd just like to say thank you, everybody. God bless everybody. Thank you.
I just want to thank Ray again for his leadership as campaign chair. And I neglected to recognize our moonlighter here, and that's Bill Palmer, who is not only in the school board, but also on the steering committee. So Bill Palmer, my apologies, and great having you involved as part of our campaign leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mountjoy, we offer you a big thank you, and we're so glad that the love of Latrobe stayed embedded in your heart, because we're all going to prosper from that. And thank you for your commitment to this campaign and all you're going to do for it. And thank you for being here this evening.
You're welcome.
Resolution number 156. Whereas the Board of School Directors of the Greater Latrobe School District have identified necessary capital improvements of certain facilities, including but not limited to upgrades in classroom technology, renovation improvements, and construction of athletic facilities and fields for student use in physical education and athletics, and to increase community use at the senior and junior high school campus, renovation upgrades at the junior high school to expand and promote the art curriculum, and other identified building capital projects. And whereas with interest rates at historic lows, a unique opportunity exists to finance a bond issue with minimal to no impact on the current millage rates. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of School Directors of Greater Latrobe School District hereby approves and authorizes the capital improvements set forth in this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Board of School Directors of Greater Latrobe School District hereby recommends to the Greater Latrobe School Authority the issuance of bonds in the principal amount of $10 million for a term to be decided in order to provide funds needed for capital improvements, including those set forth in the first paragraph of this resolution, the construction of an athletic complex and related improvements to existing athletic facilities and fields, and other necessary capital projects. Be it further resolved that the Board of School Directors of Greater Latrobe School District hereby approves and authorizes Axis Architecture, PC, to commence design work on the capital improvements set forth in this resolution. Be it further resolved that the Board of School Directors further recommends to the authority the appointment of Janney Montgomery Scott LLC, Janney Capital Markets, and as investment bankers for the negotiated sale of the bonds, and the appointment of the law firm of Lynch & Lynch as bond counsel for this issue. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve resolution number 156, and I would ask Mrs. Leisure to do a roll call vote, please. Oh, any discussion on the motion? I'm sorry.
I must tell you that when this was first presented to me, I was very skeptical about it. I was having a hard time wrapping my mind around it because the first gentleman who spoke talked about cutting programs and cutting people, and that was my concern as well. I was worried about that. I know this is a tremendous venture, asking us to take $10 million bond issue. I know it's not making an impact on our budget because we do have a debt service. We will extend it for about 2.5 years. It won't increase millage rate. But I had a hard time coming to grips with that because anytime you spend money, you're spending it for something and not spending it for something else. But I think after our discussion, in fact, last week if we would have voted, I probably would have voted no. In fact, we had discussions in the executive session about that. But then I listened to all the things, and we had another meeting, we talked, and there does become a leadership part of it. And I do believe that if we do things right and we look at how we spend our money, what we do, we can accentuate all these positives that we have for our schools. I think we have to be skillful in that. I mean, we always have it. In this school district, I always said it squeeze every penny till it cries. As far as I've ever been around the board, we really are tough with our budgets. But I think part of this, with this capital fundraising thing, I think, school districts have to become much more skilled in raising money and having this kind of thing behind us with these wonderful people who are involved and want to give money to help the Latrobe School District. That's fantastic. I mean, we can't count on our state government anymore because every year they cut us more. We can't keep asking our taxpayers, the property taxes every year to do more because they're having trouble. Everybody knows how tough it is nowadays and what kind of budgets people are dealing with. But when you have something like this behind it, it's a new way for schools to raise money. I think it's fantastic. You have to think out of the box. You have to come up with different ways to improve our school. And we've done it here with this art trust. And I think by adding this part to our campaign, I think that's a tremendous asset. And it really does make you feel proud to be part of the school district that is able to get this kind of involvement, this kind of push from the community. I appreciate that. So after a lot of thinking and I'm going to be tough, I'm telling you. When we go through our budgets and stuff, I'm going to question everything, but I'm going to, I think we have to do it. I think right now is the time. I changed my mind and I'm going to vote yes to that.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else have comments or questions?
One thing that Mr. Higgins pointed out when we first started looking at this initiative several years ago was that we are the only K-12 public school system to ever undertake such a project. And that is a testament to the type of talent we have here in this room, administrators and the board. We found a way. We knew what we needed to do. The community knew we needed it. We knew we needed it. But we found a way to do it without having to tax taxpayers. And that's what makes this project unique. Is that we're building a system to not only take care of this project, but future projects for the school district. It's unbelievable. It's a great project. It's a great thing to be behind. And I think we're going to set the bar in public schools on how to get things done. So this is a moment. This is a dynamic moment for Greater Latrobe because everybody's gonna read about this, and they're gonna say, oh my God, what a great idea. How did you do it? And the phone's gonna be ringing off the hook come Thursday morning, because we've done something very exceptional here, or about to do something very exceptional. I commend my fellow board members and the administration for a job well done, well thought out. Kudos to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Moffat. Would anyone else like to offer comment? I agree with everything they said. This is a great move for Greater Latrobe, and I just look forward to the inception and what can happen from that. So, if no one else has any comment, I ask Mrs. Leisure then to call the roll.
Mrs. Elder? Yes. Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Locker?
Yes.
Dr. Moffat?
Yes.
Mr. Music? Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zork?
Yes.
Mrs. Maines?
Yes. Passes 8-1. Thank you all very much. I will also move for adoption of resolution number 157 to approve the debt resolution. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We approve resolution number 157. We also ask for any discussion on the debt resolution. Mrs. Leisure will be the roll call on this one too also.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Locker?
Yes.
Dr. Moffat? Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We will move to education and planning, and we have two students with us this evening, Carmelina and Mitchell. Good evening.
As a student athlete, I'd first just like to say, before I get to anything else, that I think it's a great idea that we improve the athletic facilities. As a former cross-country runner and as a tennis player, I've seen at home matches, at home run meets, I've seen our runners have increases in time by 5 minutes in their races. I've seen kids lose their shoes in the mud whenever we see a little bit of rain. I've seen our tennis matches last an hour to an hour and a half longer because we didn't have enough courts. So I think this is a great idea, and I thank all you guys for coming up with this. The two things I'd like to talk about are the two things that are going on at the school. The first is Polio, which is going on at the high school. I talked about this last month. It's going on. It's going to be happening this Friday. It's an event like the Rock Down where it's going to be, we have 39 teams participating in different events for prizes such as Pirates tickets and Dino's gift cards. And it's a very good event that's just going to bring the entire student body together at a time where we really don't have all that much going on. The other thing I would like to say is playing for polio. It's an event similar to the Hoops for Haiti done earlier. It's done by the Interact Club, which is sponsored by the Rotary Club. All money goes towards Pennies for Polio. Pennies for Polio is a thing where they raise money for polio vaccines, since in third world countries now we're seeing a rise in polio. And this way, this pays for vaccines for people in those countries who are unable to pay for this. And it will be, the Hoops for Haiti was done at Latrobe. This time it will be done at Dairy Gymnasium on Friday, March 16th, where the basketball players are the cheerleaders, and the cheerleaders become the basketball players. It's just a fun event where we just raise money for a good cause, and everyone has a lot of fun. Here's Carl.
Hi. Last Tuesday, I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. on a field trip. And myself and about I'm gonna say 40 other students were selected. So they were good kids if they were picked. And the whole point of this field trip was to kind of, I guess, change up the curriculum, but give kids just an awesome educational experience. And we went to the Holocaust Museum, and it was incredible. And I think at the age of the students that went, like we experienced some kids who were kind of younger, so they were kind of all over the place, but the age from sophomore to senior, we really could appreciate what the museum provided for us. And they had little name cards, so you could follow along with a victim of the Holocaust, and it was incredible. It just had an impact on every single student that went. And I am so happy and humbled that I got picked to go, because since I was a freshman, I first heard about it and I really wanted to go. And it was everything and more than I expected. And you just gain such an appreciation for what the people went through and how hard the times were. And you ask yourself, could I really have done that? Because I don't think I could have. And it just had a great impact. And then after that, we were all kind of shaken up. So we had time and we went on a tour of DC. And that was great. It rained a little bit, but we learned even more. And we got to tour monuments and memorials. And it was just a great refresher of history and just the things that we have that we should appreciate. And I don't know, it was just an awesome experience.
Thank you both very much. And I think you all received a copy of the student report with your packet. I will move for adoption of, I have to announce that the Education and Planning Committee meeting will be held on March the 20th at 5:15 here in the CSC right before the meeting that would be the regular meeting of the month of March. So the Education and Planning Committee, please mark your calendars for that. I will also move for adoption a resolution number 158 to approve the 2012-2013 school calendar, a copy of which is on the back of your agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve resolution number 158. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. Thank you. That concludes my report, and we'll move to finance with Mrs. Elder.
The Finance Committee will meet at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, March 7th at the Central Administration Building. And I'd like to bundle resolutions number 159, 160, and 161 and move for adoption of all three of those. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolutions number 159, 160, and 161. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. That also passes unanimously.
And I'd like to move for adoption of resolution number 162 to accept donations and grants. There are three major grants from McFeely Rogers Foundation, and there is a grant from the American Legion District number 31 directed to the Vietnam history class at the senior high school. All of these things are wonderful additions to the curricular experiences that our students have, and I'm very grateful to see them appear on the agenda, and I'm happy to move for acceptance of that resolution.
It's been moved by Mrs. Eller and seconded by Mr. Hauser that we adopt resolution number 162. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. That passes unanimously.
I'd like to bundle resolution number 163, 164, and 165 to approve the GASB number 45 compliance evaluation, to award a contract for surveying services, and to award the E-rate telecommunications contract. So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolutions number 163, 164, and 165. Any discussion on any of those? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. Those also pass unanimously.
And I'm moving for adoption the resolution number 166 to increase the school district's contribution to the Adams Memorial Library. The increase would amount to 25 cents per student who's registered in our district. And this is, the Finance Committee has talked about this, and at this point, the Finance Committee is willing to recommend including this in the budget. It may not stay throughout the entire process, but this would be a wonderful shot in the arm for Adams, because libraries in our state are part of the education budget, and they've been cut as much as we have, not more. And this would be a great thing for them. So I'm moving for adoption of resolution number 166.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 166. Any discussion on the motion? I'm very happy to see this because Adams Memorial Library has been such an essential part of our educational system and our community. My question is, we're giving the extra 25 cents this school year, and then you want to include it in the budget for next school year? Is that what you were saying?
No. I apologize. I just noticed that in the resolution. It should stay effective with the 2012-13 school year.
I see.
I apologize for the second.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of adopting resolution number 166, then say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously.
And Mrs. Elder, you're okay with the amended?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't read it real carefully because I know that it's for the budget, not for this year. And finally, I'd like to move for adoption of resolution number 167 regarding banking services. Awards of banking services to First National Bank, the operation of the following 6 operating accounts: General Fund, Athletic Fund, Athletic Referee Fund, Food Service Fund, Payroll Fund, and Student Activities. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 167. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor then say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. That also passes unanimously.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Elder. We'll move to property and supply with Mrs. Kozar.
Yes, the next meeting of property and supply will be March 1st at 3:30 p.m. in the Administration Building. You're welcome. And we will have an opening of bids for treadmills, and we'll award that on March 20th.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Oh, am I doing?
Is that your resolution?
Yes, it is. Sorry about that. I move for the resolution number 168 to authorize the release of a request for proposal RFP for an energy services contract under Pennsylvania Act 39, 2010.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 168. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously. And thank you, Mrs. Kozar. Student Activities and Recreation, Dr. Laughlin.
Just as a reminder again, the ice hockey senior night is March 8th at 6:30 at the Netherlands.
Thank you. The intermediate unit is me. I move for adoption of resolution number 169 to authorize participation in the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Joint Purchasing Consortium for diesel fuel and gasoline for the 2012-2013 school year.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, then we adopt resolution number 169. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously. Community Relations, Dr. Zorch.
You're up.
You already left. That's right. Okay. I move for adoption of resolution number 170 to accept the resignation of LUPR board member Mr. Matt Smith.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 170. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Mr. Naples is going to read a resolution to appoint another member from our school district to the LUPR board.
Connie, how do you want to designate this as resolution number 170.1 and we'll fit it in? Okay. For our purposes tonight, we'll designate this resolution as resolution number 170.1. Reads as follows. Resolved that the Greater Latrobe Board of School Directors hereby appoints Dan Hennessy, Unity Township, a Unity Township resident, to fill the Greater Latrobe School District vacancy created by Matthew M. Smith on the Latrobe Unity Parks and Recreation Commission. And I would ask that you move on this resolution. Yes, discussion.
I will make the motion that we approve resolution number 170.1. Do I hear a second? It's been moved and seconded. We adopt that resolution. Any discussion on the part of the board members? I also need to give the audience a chance to comment on this resolution.
It's my understanding that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's my understanding that he's the only person that applied for that position.
Yes.
Correct.
Anybody else to comment from the board? We also need to give the audience a chance to comment on this resolution because it wasn't part of our agenda that you picked up when you came into the room. So if anyone would like to comment before we vote on this resolution, please again come to the podium, state your name, and make any comments you wish to make. Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting resolution number 170.1, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. That passes unanimously. And EWCTC Joint Operating Committee, Mrs. Kozar. Thank you, Mrs. Kozar. Board Policy, PSBA Liaison, Mrs. Elder.
Yes, I move for adoption of resolution number 171, which is a reaffirmation of the PSBA standards for effective school governance and the code of conduct for members of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. This was in our agenda or in our packet rather last week, and everybody had a chance to take a look at it, and the board has adopted it in the past.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 171. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor then of adopting resolution number 171 say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. That passes unanimously. Transportation, Dr. Moffat.
Just a reminder of the February 29th transportation meeting, 4 p.m. in the athletic office.
Thank you very much. Technology, Mr. Palmer.
No report, but Mr. President, we are going to change the date and time of the next technology meeting. We're maybe that with staff and the other members.
Okay, you'll let everybody know.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Superintendent's recommendations, Mrs. Swiger.
I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 172, the resignations. The first is Matthew Smith, resignation as the senior high school assistant principal. Kim Struble, Bagley, classroom assistant. Scott Smith, boys assistant volleyball coach. Teresa Knoll, Bagley, personal care assistant. And an add-on, which we just received yesterday, Kristen Vedek as the part-time secretary at Mountain View Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
Wasn't Mrs. Vedek a recent hire?
Yes, she was at the beginning of the year. She got another job. Yeah.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Go ahead.
I ask the board to move on resolution number 173, which is the approval of the list of substitutes that are listed on page 8. As you know, this is always an issue for the district, and the addition of almost 20 substitutes here is a great thing as we move into the spring here in the school district.
So moved.
Here's a second. It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 173. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Say nay. That passes unanimously.
And I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 174, which is the support personnel appointments that are listed on the top of page 9 of your agenda.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 174. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Say nay. That also passes unanimously.
And last, I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 175, which is to approve the non-contractual professional employee retirement incentive. This is being offered this year, and we are asking that any member of the professional staff who is interested in taking advantage of this to notify us no later than April 15th. 13th. So I'd ask if you turn to the second page of this, letter F, it should say no later than April 13th, not March 31st. So please make that correction. Other than that, the incentive is as Mr. Watson described last week.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve resolution number 175. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed say nay. That passes unanimously.
And just to finish up, our announcement of meetings, and also to give a plug, and maybe it can be also in the paper, is the musical Children of Eden at the senior high school. The performance is the weekend of Friday, March 23rd and 24th. If any of the board members are interested in attending, please let Mrs. Laser know tonight the number of tickets you need. It's an important thing that we get that to her so the theater troupe can designate those tickets. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Swigert. It's now time for hearing of visitors part 2. This is a time for any member of the audience who would like to address the board on any issue. Please come forward again to the podium and state your name and address.
Can I just say from here and say thank you? Really, seriously.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Neil Lejeune, 114 Magnolia Drive. I haven't moved. This time I will address you as band parent president. Region band, and this is competition. I mean, the kids worked very hard to get here. They actually had to audition at district band to make it to region band. We have 2 band members that made region band, David Coleman and Jake Lejeune. The concert is 7 p.m. Friday night at Norman High School, and the board, I'm extending an invitation to the board. And believe me, you go to these concerts, you may as well be at Heinz Hall listening to professionals. These kids are very good. So please do attend if you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to address the board? Mrs. Owen?
Yes, I'd like to say something. Earlier, there were comments regarding facilities that the district has. And one of the facilities that was mentioned as a big money loser was the swimming pool. And I'd like to say that I've been reading in the local paper about the achievements of the swimmers. Swimming is a sport that's good your whole life. You don't have to get 4 other people to play with you. You don't have to get a team. You can just swim. And when my son was in high school, he hated sport. And we did exactly what was suggested earlier. If you want to swim, you have to keep your grades up. And not only did he swim, but he got to practice at 6 o'clock every morning. And that swimming has become a career for him. He is the Assistant Director of Ocean Rescue at Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. That's his job. He takes it very seriously. He does it all year round. And that big money loser has done a lot for my son as well as a lot of other kids.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder.
I'm up there, you know who I am. I did not say the swimming pool was a money loser. I asked if the ball fields would be like a swimming pool, a money pit. I meant nothing about our swimming with school. There was no reference to that whatsoever. She misunderstood what I said. Being an owner of a swimming pool, I know the upkeep of one, and I just wondered if those will be a money pit like a swimming pool. I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, we completely missed.
Okay. Well, I didn't realize.
We were overspending in the pool.
No, I have a swimming pool and I know what they can run.
Gotcha.
And the only other question I have that you guys did not answer is, do you have an estimate of how long the turf will last and approximate cost when they need replaced?
It is my understanding that those things do depend on amount of use as well as weather and other things. But an estimate, from what we can gather, around 10 years or so.
Okay.
Is approximate. They've come, obviously turf has developed far beyond what it used to be. But those factors played into that, so.
Okay. Just to make me out as that person. I love swimmers. I don't want anybody to think I have anything against swimmers. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion? Any other comments this evening to come from the board? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. We adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? We are adjourned.
I'm new.